The Could Be Better podcast is sponsored in part by Old Mother Brewing Company, located in the heart of downtown Frederick at 526 North Market Street. Not only does the brewery play host to a ton of Could Be Better shows, but it offers the tastiest beers and cocktails around. Looking for something refreshing and crushable? Try their Hank, which is great for a laid back summer afternoon. In need of a cozy, heavy stout? Give the Callisto, which took home Best in Show honors at the 2022 Maryland Craft Beer Competition, a try. To learn more about the brewery, including what they have on tap each day, visit www.oldmother.com or on Instagram at Old Mother Brewing.
We're back. Welcome to the Could Be Better podcast, episode 82. Just like mold. You think you got rid of us, but we're still here. Colin McGuire. Hi.
Hi, just like the Kansas City Chiefs. They, no matter what, they're gonna keep winning, huh? What'd you think? You went to bed by 8, didn't you?
Yeah, it was awesome. I turned it off at the third quarter. I was too worked up with Usher, and I was hot and bothered, and so I was like, well, what else can I do? And I went to bed.
I felt there were a lot of text messages exchanged about Swiss Beats, Alicia Keys' husband, after that whole uh, Usher Alicia moment. It
It
was
was
tough.
it was steamy. I mean, I get it. Alicia
Yeah.
Keys is, I mean, she's a powerful singer. I love her. Full stop.
Oh, I love her. Love her. I even have her books. I have
I
her
love
books of poetry.
I love that. I love that. And you know what else I love about love is this week is Valentine's Day. And if you are um lonely or your significant person did not do anything for you this week, let us know. We'll send you something sweet or nice or downright mean. But the my exciting thing this week is that we got to talk to our lovely friend, Mr. Husband. And it's just I am blown away by how much I enjoy talking to him and finding out he's still like 2 miles away from me, and I thought he lived further and further and further away. So it kind of makes my heart warm and full to know that he's closer. So I think that's my Valentine's Day gift to myself this year, is that I know that Mr. Husband just lives a couple blocks away.
Yeah, did you guys talk about that while I was having equipment issues? Did you talk about how you were like, I thought you lived a state away?
We did. It was definitely off air. So for folks that, this is the behind the music, right? But Colin did have, so we have a production assistant who's been kind of slacking a bit with setting up Colin's studio up in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And there were some technical issues. And don't worry, we fired the intern, and we'll have a new one for in a couple weeks when we record again, and stuff will be working. But yeah, Kenny and I talked a little bit about being closer than we thought, and his resistance to the internet of telling people where he lives. So I was like, well, that makes sense. So I kind of I unabashedly say, oh, I live in Frederick and I'm just right here and I'm just past this, and maybe one day that'll bite me in the butt. Who knows?
Head to Pizza Blitz and keep going. That's how you get to
just
Chris's house.
just keep going. Yeah, it was but no, it was a lot of fun, and I'm glad he was the first one back. We have a cool show with him at Old Mother, which we get into the episode. Um but it felt right. I think when we were looking at our roster for this upcoming robust season where we changed some things up, Kenny just kind of like when we were like Mr. Husband, and it was just yeah, it feels good.
Yeah, yeah, it feels good. It was that was almost a spit take for Chris. Um, yeah, but that is kind of how this came about, and he, I would venture to guess that this one turned out better than the first one we did with him. Would you agree?
I think so. I think I enjoyed looking into his eyes in person, because I think when we talked about dad stuff and just family things, and um Kenny's just
And
such a
what
he's just such a genuine human being. So when he looks you in the eyes and goes, "Oh man, like I like that that makes me really happy to hear that, man. Like that's really cool." And like, being a dad is great. And just having those type of things together, like, I can feel that warmness in me now, that I did when we were in the studio before. And so I missed that a little bit. He dialed in and we're doing things over Zoom in case people can't tell. Hopefully you can't. Um, but it was a little different. I like the vibe, I think, but I thought the interview was much better. I feel like we got better at doing. We've gotten less bad. I wouldn't say better. We've gotten less bad at doing these over the year. So yeah, I
I
agree with that.
if I recall, the first one was about 20 minutes of me talking about Chris Morris, not you, but Chris Morris. And it was one of, I don't know, what number is this? 86, 83,
82. You're close.
82. So that was one of 81 blackout drunk podcasts that I recorded. And that was not the case for this. So I felt like we actually got to have substantial conversation other than me slurring my words about Mr. Husband's drummer.
Yeah, I appreciated the different flavor, and it was nice. And we
It'll
I don't know.
be
It was
infinitely boring for people listening.
or it's the endearing flavor. I don't know. Maybe people, I don't know. I like to say I think we're at a healthier, different spot now, and so I'm glad that we're here. So hopefully people are as well. Um housekeeping items. I think so that we're recording on Monday morning, lunch break, corporate life times. But Jon Stewart's back on the Daily Show tonight, and I
That's right.
feel a lot of things about it, and I'm a little nervous, but I'm excited. So we'll find out how that goes and see if this ages as well. Um,
Did you keep did you catch up with the Colbert segment from last night?
I did. It was very good. Of course, he has llamas in his office underneath Colbert's desk. It's just the best. Um, but this comes out on Thursday. We're gonna do podcasts couple times a month. We're not going to do this every week nonsense. We're all adults and we're trying to be sustainable, not sustainable. Okay? So just let us have this moment of being separate and not together but still doing things, and we know that you're listening, you're downloading, not listening anyway. So it's all good. So I appreciate it. Keep the downloads coming, keep the listening to a minimum, please.
We are susceptible to a pop-up here and there, I would think.
100%. I'm not limiting ourselves to anything that we choose to do.
It's always the voice of reason. That's,
Yeah. I do
man.
have I have one qualm, and and then we'll get into this interview, or actually a word from our sponsor, but then we'll get into the interview. But you'd said I was like an over positive person, and I feel like I'm just not that guy.
I mean, of the two of us, I would think you probably take that. I would
That
think you.
that's fair. I feel like I one cheek it.
What does that mean? Is
Like
that
I'm not
sexual?
Of course, I'm not like fully sitting on it. I'm like one cheek on. Like I'm like
Wow. And that in that context, wow.
it could be sitting on a chair. It could be
Yeah,
sitting on a stool,
the toilet.
a toilet. Speaking of toilets, Wes said he had to go poop last night, so we ripped him out of the bath real fast and sat him on the toilet, and he just sat there, and it was the best because he did absolutely nothing for 5 minutes. And I'm holding this wet naked baby, trying to avoid him pooping in the tub and trying to poop in the toilet, and it was unsuccessful. But he said he needed to, and there was bubbles coming up from his bum. So I was like, you know
Oh,
what? This is worth the extraction. So we did the quick extraction point, and that was it. So
also of note, Chris has done that for me in the past too.
yeah, except it's always after. It's like, oh hey Colin, there's poop everywhere. Why would you get out of the tub?
Oh,
And on that
whoops.
note, we are back with a non-poopy segment. I don't think we talk about poop at all in this segment or this interview with our friend Mr. Husband, who is playing at Old Mother Brewing Company on April 13th with lots of friends, Tucker Riggleman and the Cheap Dates, and Distant Humming's first show. It's going to be a ton of fun. We will both see you there. Sign up for our autographs and our kissing booth at the event. And Colin, do you have anything else to add?
No, I love Kenny. I love Kenny. I love Mr. Husband. And we should also note too that the music we hear is not from him. The music we will hear will be from Tucker, correct?
Yeah, we close out our show with a song called Shotgun by Tucker Riggleman and the Cheap Dates. It's off their new record, which comes out on a Saturday, I believe. It's February 19th. And so it's cool, it's different, whatever, the release date. The music's great. But let's get into this episode with our friend Kenny. But that's Mr. Husband to you. And first, a word from our sponsor. Are you in a band in need of merch to hustle or entice your fans who won't buy your latest album?
How about a business simply looking to spread the word about your brand that you want to be the next goopy lifestyle movement?
Special Tees in Frederick is the place for you. Supporting local artists, businesses, and really everything else in between. Special Tees is the premier printing shop for anyone trying to expand their presence through pretty much everything that can be worn. And yes, even that.
Be it embroidery, apparel, or promo products, Special Tees make sure your designs stand above the rest, sort of like The Undertaker versus Yokozuna at WrestleMania 9. Tell them Could Be Better sent you and get 10% off your first order today. To learn more, visit them online at www.special-tees.com. That is www.special-tees.com. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I cannot believe we have Kenny Husband on this classic monumental episode of the Could Be Better podcast. I've taken too long. How are you, Kenny?
Hey, brother. I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Can you use that voice the whole time, please?
Yeah, I was trying to give you a macho man guy there.
Yeah. Hey, brother.
How you doing?
I'm
Hey,
okay.
brother. Nice podcast.
I'm currently watching a very big bug climb all around my computer, and it's making me nervous.
Yeah, you have the cadence of a man who's currently under threat.
Yeah. It is very much under threat. So what's new, man? What has been going on with you over when were you on the podcast to begin with? What, 2-3 years ago?
Probably a year plus ago. I can't totally place that.
I'm pulling it up.
Yeah.
July 21st, 2022.
Okay.
Okay.
So
It's
year
been a while.
and a half. Yeah. How have you been
So
since
you
then?
want me to-
Take us through every day.
Pretty good. I had breakfast the next day. The things have been good, man. I mean, nothing's really changed huge in my life. I think when I was on then, my wife and I just had a child, and that's still a huge joyful part of my life. And I'm also still cranking on Mr. Husband tunes all the time. In fact, whenever I jumped on the podcast, I had to close my notes app because I was like right in the middle of writing some lyrics. So, still doing the things that you know me well for doing. And nothing too crazy except for I've gotten a little older and a little grumpier. So I'll probably say some more mean shit on this podcast. Oops, sorry, I cursed.
No, it's
Yeah, a
good.
little grumpier than the last time we talked. Yep.
I know. I'm pumped for you being grumpy. When we go for walks, it's like we combine to make one old man screaming at the clouds. That's what we do.
It feels like that, like a grumpy old man Voltron. Sort of
Yeah, and
thing.
then Chris is so upbeat though. That's the thing. That's what makes this podcast not work.
Yeah, I was about to say I don't think I'm upbeat, and I think most of you guys know I'm fairly realistic. I don't think I'm like Gran Torino grumpy, but I'm like up old man grumpy that like ultimately finds his happy place.
I've never
That
seen
Gran
Up.
Torino reference is good.
Yeah.
Up is not, contrary to the title, it's a downer. That first like opening 10 minutes is some of like the best cinema for a kids movie ever, and then it just like makes you feel something, and then that's the end of it. Yeah, it's sad.
What a great segue. This is what we are back and better than ever, because that leads me to something I know I've talked to Kenny about before in the past, but You know, an animated movie that is actually a downer. Kenny, your songs are so musically happy for a lot of it. And then when you really dig in, you start to kind of see how sad they can be. Was this always your approach to songwriting? Like, how did this end up coming to be, or were you just drawn to that from the beginning?
I love that question, Colin, and thanks for caring enough about my songs to pay attention like that. Definitely was not the first approach I took to songwriting. I think if I were to broadly say it, it's like when I first started, sad words, sad music, they go together, right? Um, but over time, I realized the things that I really like, some well-known things like the Beatles, or one of my favorite things when I was just starting to write songs was Neutral Milk Hotel.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
so in both those cases, a lot of times you would notice like really bright, sunshiny melodies with darker words, or inverted, like, complicated minor key, sort of moody sounding music, and then the lyrics being about love. And I just really like the tension that that creates in a song, of not marrying those things together, because to me that's just like, in a lot of cases, just feels on the nose, um, to exactly what it's trying to be. But I think there are big exceptions within my own songs, like that song Cookie Pie, is like, let's dive in and be completely on the nose. So it's sort of actively the opposite of that.
How
And
have
Cookie,
you Go ahead,
sorry,
Chris.
I was just going to say Cookie Pie is it's on what I think maybe my favorite vinyl that I own from a band that's from Frederick. We each,
Well,
Colin, you and
you
I
old
each got our
sweetheart.
we got our own exclusive copies of Songs of Friendship, Songs of Wonderment. Yes, yes.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, that's very sweet
That
of you.
is
Thanks, man. Man, my 2.5-year-old daughter, she's a pretty huge critic of music. She doesn't like everything I play, or certainly not all of my music, but Cookie Pie's been on her charts all year, so she'll request it along with like Cyndi Lauper and Nirvana and that kind of stuff. So I'm like, okay, well, at least Cookie Pie hits with the 2.5-year-old demographic.
Coming
would
to
you say
coming
go
to a
ahead.
science coming to a science center near you.
That's kind of it's interesting though that you bring that up because would you say that through the years, or at least over the last couple years since you've been a father, have you seen a shift in your songwriting at all? Do you think you're sadder? Do you think you're happier? Is there any change?
Love that question too. Well, I'm definitely influenced by the fact that I hear the songs my daughter's obsessed with 25 times a day. Like, I've heard Girls Just Want to Have Fun literally 20 times a day sometimes this year. So I'm sure there's like a Cyndi Lauper influence deep under my skin now. Um, but no, I mean, it's actually, yeah, it's really hard to write anything that's like resolutely sad or dark, because I don't personally feel that way right now. I mean, the world, I'm not blind because I'm a parent, but I feel a lot of hope and optimism through being a parent. So yeah, I would say like the song I was writing before I jumped on this podcast, very, very positive outlook, not about sadness at all. Was trying to like write a song about having a guy friend and also not make it weird. Pretty big challenge. So
So, uh, Kenny, I guess then that kind of from like a new music question, if you're writing stuff. So, I mean, again, Songs of Friendship, Songs of Wonderment, Cookie Pie for all of the critics listening to put it onto their 2024 list, because why not? What what else is coming out? Because it's I think it's been a little bit since we've had a new record from you.
yeah, last year was the first year since 2015, since Mr. Husband started, that I didn't release any records at all, and kind of did that intentionally because I'd like had a big run and put out so much stuff that I felt like people just kind of had enough from me for a minute, which is totally fine. I mean, even if I love a band, I'm not trying to listen to like 100 songs of theirs a year. So I felt like it was a good time to like take more time on whatever I'm writing and working on. And that's been great. Like, sometimes I feel a lot of urgency about what I'm doing. I don't feel that way right now. Like, for example, I bought a typewriter to write my lyrics on. It takes forever, make a million mistakes. I just like the change in the process. Been working on a tape machine, which if you've ever recorded on digital versus tape machine, I mean, it takes 5 times as long and you end up with a lot of times something you can't use. So it's just been kind of marinating in the slowness of the process for once. And I like what I'm making. I'm excited to share it with people, but I don't really know when it'll be done. So just kind of letting it happen. But yeah, I'm not sure if that answered the question. I kind of forgot what it was.
No.
Sorry.
No. It's all good, and it kind of does. And the thing that Colin knows that I get most excited about is the things that happen in the background and like kind of like the inside baseball side of things. And what do you think has changed your perspective on not feeling rushed to put things out?
Honestly, I think I'll say something directly to people because I imagine a lot of people that listen to this are involved in their own musical or artistic process or pursuit. Sometimes I find myself wanting to finish artwork or music work for what I think of as kind of the wrong reason. Like I get a lot of self-worth from finishing. I feel positive about myself, like when I finish something, but that doesn't really result in the best work or the most empathetic work or the most like timeless possibilities. It just makes me for one day feel like, cool, I put something out there again, and I'm a finisher. But I saw that pattern in myself. So I just really wanted to like actively work against that impulse to just like finish for the sake of finishing and really like let the songs tell me when they're finished, which has been interesting.
So how many songs have told you that they're finished so far?
I got about 5 in the old final 2 for real this time folder. Um, and then tons and tons that are like floating around in my head.
Are you going to put out an EP, an LP? Have you decided?
I'm definitely working towards probably a longer record than any of the Mr. Husband records. Most of our records have been like 8 songs, which people always want to argue as an EP. To me, that's the perfect album length. It's all killer, no filler album length. But I think this time I'm going to shoot for 10 songs for whatever reason. Just try to give the listeners more bang for their buck. Inflation.
No. Yeah, God, don't even get me started on groceries, man. It's too much. But so has the sort of process that you have now as Mr. Husband, is it distilled down to mostly you and Chris that get together to get like the bones of the song, or is it you kind of have what you want, then you take it to him, or is there even a third person that is like very, very much involved now these days?
Yeah, so there are more than just Chris. Chris Morris, the drummer of Mr. Husband, definitely is like a main source of reference for the music. If I make something new, he's definitely going to be in the conversation about like what he thinks about it, where it fits, what should we do with it. But Mr. Husband has had big shifts since maybe the last time we talked. Jason no longer plays bass for us. Jason Reeder, who's a great friend of mine, still lives in town. And so now my brother Kurt, who was in the band New God with me, he plays bass and sings. And we have a guitar player who's an old friend of mine named Adam. And so both of them have done creative projects with me since I was really young, since I was in my early 20s. And it's a really natural relationship to share the creative process with them. So they're involved too. But the way it kind of looks when I make a song is like I think about who's going to be the most excited about it right where it is when it's in a rough shape. Who's going to get it the most without it being completely done. And I tend to just try to involve that person, even if they're not in the band. Like, I involve people in making songs with me that are not going to be in my band at any point. So and especially the process I'm in right now, I'm really like, this song feels like I should collaborate with Chris. So he's working on that one. This one feels like I should collaborate with my friend from Frostburg. So they're working on that one. Again, just kind of like trying to listen to the work and listen for what it's asking for, and then invite things in based on that. Sorry, listeners, I'm talking like I'm some like masterful Bob Dylan guy, but my artistic process like definitely
You
matters
are,
to
man.
me,
You are, you're the Bob Dylan of Frederick, at least.
Man, I'll take that.
This,
I'm at least the Bob Dylan of my part of Third Street. I'm gonna go out on a limb. A guy that lives down from me is a really good finger picker. He's like a really good Travis picker, so I have some competition. But yeah,
what's it like being in a band with your brother again, like working like that? Or like New God, you guys, that was not like Mr. Husband musically. I mean, it kind of was in a way, but it felt, well, it was a lot more electronic. I mean, how getting back in the saddle with him, is that a good thing? Can it be tough? Do you guys ever sort of have a spat over anything?
We could, but it's cool. It's super cool. My brother and me we have the best possible relationship as brothers because of music. So, I think bands tear friends and family apart sometimes. We have in the past, because we've done so many things together, certainly had those moments where like, damn, this music project and the, attempt to share it in all ways could tear us apart. But we have luckily seized on those moments and like both found our higher self and found ways to make music a thing that makes us really strong as brothers. And the cool part about where we're at right now is it feels like we've pretty much graduated to this place where even if there's like a flicker of tension, we both immediately smell it and kind of don't dig in on it. So really it's just the good part for the majority of it. It's like he can sing in harmony with me without me even talking to him about it. He's a real studious and hard worker on his parts. So things I just would cherish in any bandmate, and it happens to be this dude who's been my little brother my whole life, So yeah, it's pretty much all great.
So I thought Chris was going to ask something.
Yeah, no. Yeah,
I was
no. I was thinking, and I was like, wait, older brother, younger brother, and then you said little brother. But I'm gonna shift a bit so the Mr. Husband like bit, right? So for those who haven't seen Mr. Husband, it's like has been a time where there was a wardrobe change, there was different coordinated outfits, there was a shtick, you would say, but then the music was always genuine or tongue in cheek or just smart. And I know that's probably a disservice to it, but I guess as Mr. Husband has progressed, I think even the last show at Old Mother in last year, there was no sparkles, there's no wigs, there's no sweatbands, there's no tracksuits. What has been kind of the evolution of Mr. Husband? And the point of reference that I have is it kind of something starts off as like a maybe comedic disguise to stick out, and then now it's kind of like, well, hey, like Mr. Husband, it kind of sticks out as a name, as a reckoning force in the legend of Third Street singer songwriters. But what is Mr. Husband now, and how has it changed over the years?
It's basically just a product of my intuition, right? So the reason I did the bits, I mean, you're pretty much right on, Chris. Like as far as some of the things you said, I definitely thought as a new project, I wanted to be extra attractive and not, and I had, as Colin mentioned, just done a band called New God where we were pretty much focused on serious beauty. Like there was always this aspect of whatever we're presenting, it's certainly not going to be tongue in cheek. There's not a lot of room for comedy. And it just started to feel like after a couple of years of doing that like taking those ideas, like beautiful things that we really care about, feel a lot about, put a lot of work into, and then squeezing them into these little boxes on the internet to present them felt so awful, right? So just kind of reacted and was like, well, let me just do the project the way I think it would really like flow easily in terms of presenting it on the internet. And it seemed like to me, comedy would be the easier way to do that and fun to experiment with, because I never let myself do that with a music project before. And I always liked bands that had like comedic personalities in the band. But that was like, we've been a band for a long time now. That was like 2015 when I did the first show with the wig and the costume. And I still say a lot of the slogans. I believe in the sloganeering that I developed, because I think it's like, there's nothing worth saying on stage, really. It's not storytellers. I don't want to tell you what a song is about. I barely even want to tell you what the name of it is. And I just love these like old show business videos of like Hank Williams. The reason I say, if you've ever seen me even recently, I always say this one's been particularly good to me and the boys about the song we're going to play. That's because of Hank Williams. I love Hank Williams Sr. and he always said little phrases like that, like about the song, but you could tell he was rehearsed. He rehearsed what to say before he played the song, and he didn't just let himself say some verbal diarrhea, which I've certainly been guilty of. I know most people who have talked in a microphone at a show have accidentally said something. They're like, oh, that didn't help, So the slogan part I've kept, but the costume part, this answer's all over the place. But, all I can say is before the pandemic, when we were doing shows, I couldn't possibly imagine presenting myself without that kind of like costume and fake character persona. And then the world just really felt like it changed. And like, I, in the same way, couldn't imagine doing the show like that afterwards. And I don't really have a great reason for why, except for just like my feelings of like where I fit into the whole thing changed. And I felt like the world changed a lot too. And just like what I was doing just didn't seem as funny or as worthwhile to do. So hopefully that answers.
Yeah, no, I think it's a beautiful evolution, and I've been a fan of the 100% bit, and then I've been a fan of the 0% bit. So it's being able to experience the many sides of Mr. Husband. I think that's a cool thing. It's not a one-dimensional band or act by any means. So no, that's a great answer.
I'll tell you this much too. At any point, I might throw a new character at you, but my plan has always been this. I'll go extra weird, like way more obviously weird than I ever was in the original character. But my plan is to come out and be like, it's okay, guys. I'm going to do the show normal. I'm not going to do any weird characters. And like, that's going to be the bit that I'm like, obviously a weird character, but I'm keep promising I'm going to do a normal show. That's the only plan I have for future.
And you come rising up through the center of the stage with smoke and lights and lasers, and yes, I'm ready,
dude. If we could get a fundraiser going for that for my old mother shows, I would really appreciate that.
Perfect segue, but also yeah, we can do that now. You can Venmo Perry Chris for all of your Mr. Husband needs, and that money will go directly to getting him the orchestral and dynamic experience that he needs. But the show is Saturday, April 13th at your favorite place to drink and my favorite place to run sound, Old Mother Brewing Company here in Frederick. And it's going to be the Mr. Husband experience with Tucker Riggleman and the Cheap Dates from the Demon Beat, if you're not aware, now you are, and Frederick's own Little Bit of Sunshine, Distant Humming. It's going to be their first show, and it's going to be fantastic. Kenny, can you tell the people not just what to expect, but why they should come? Because people are spoiled by great music at Old Mother all the time for free, and people can just come and attend. But so why should they make an extra stop on Saturday, April 13th, to come see this, what I think is a really good lineup?
Well, I think there are multiple reasons. Number one, I promise a guarantee of friendship and wonderment, and that comes with a Kenny lifetime warranty. There's that, and that's not to be discounted. But Distant Humming, I don't know if you guys have been tracking them online, but I just think they've just got a lot of promise, and it's going to be cool to see them do a different version of their band for the first time live. And I think they're just going to be a force in the Frederick music scene, and I'm excited to kind of feel that coming and be a part of it right as it's kind of showing itself publicly for the first time. So it just feels like a perfect way to sort of invite spring in, to have that newness on the show. And then Tucker Riggleman and the Cheap Dates, they're definitely one of the best bands from West Virginia touring right now. I'm from West Virginia, so that connection still really matters to me. And Tucker, the lead singer of the band, grew up in a town 10 minutes from where I grew up. Great guy. Like you said, he played in the Demon Beat, which was one of the heaviest hitting rock bands in the whole region about 10 years ago. And their new record is just killer. So I think, it's just a real high quality touring band coming through Frederick, playing at Old Mother, like you said, at one of your favorite places. And it's a no-brainer to come out and see it.
I wanted to get, and that there's the public service announcement right there. So I'm gonna move on to one thing I really did want to at least touch on with you briefly, because you are far more than just a lovely, wonderful musician and great stage performer. But you also ran a record label for a while. And it's kind of like, I almost kind of want to ask the Paul McCartney question, from the Saturday Night Live skit. Oh, you're Paul McCartney, and then that's kind of the question. And so the question is like, you ran a record label. Like, would you recommend others run a record label?
Well, I mean, yeah, it really just depends on your goals, right? I don't think you should do any of the things that we're talking about. I don't think you should start a band or a record label or a brewery or a podcast unless you love doing the part of that's like the doing part. because there's definitely no guarantee it's going to like reward you in some major way. But in my case, you know, like the record label was a mixed bag, man. It was like a lot of fun, a lot of learning, and also a lot of heartbreak and disappointment in that learning, you know, because musicians, depends on where you're from, but I think we start with certain ideas about what record labels and success looks like. And then as you actually get a glimpse of it, it's not exactly what you thought it was, like so many things in life.
Like
and I kind of
everything.
struggled with that. Yeah, exactly. But I don't regret doing it. And I certainly like having the knowledge of, you know, I think anytime you just dig in and grab something like that, you're going to come away with new knowledge. So I like that part. But, you know, is there something like more specific about it that you would, I wouldn't recommend doing it unless you absolutely love music so much that you do not care if you make money, because it's really likely that you won't make money.
Well, yeah, I
But if
guess
you,
that's,
you
oh,
know,
go ahead.
but if you like connecting with people through music, hell yeah, do it, you know?
The sort of work that goes into it, is it something you could see yourself ever wanting to do again ish? Like something that you would look at and say, you know what, I kind of miss the day to day of running a record label.
I've thought about that before. And I think the only record label I would start now would be one that is like a severe reaction to how much it sucks to be a musician on the internet. Sorry, internet lovers, not the biggest fan. But you know, like the label that I did do, Yellow K, was about using everything that I knew about the internet to try to, you know, grab some power and attention that would help bands. And I know what that looks like and how far it can go, and it can be done. But in terms of what matters to me as a person and what I would feel is worth doing with my own time, that would be like, can I actually promote a band or a record completely outside of the structure of the internet? Like that's the only thing I have considered doing, would be like start a, you know, ridiculous snail mail label that only communicates through physical text and stuff like that. It's like, it probably sounds ridiculous to most people, but that would like satisfy my heart as a sort of punk rock reaction to how much I hate the internet.
I,
So
d- you know, I
did,
think that could work. That's like, so that's a, you know, the way everything comes full circle. I don't think that's impossible.
I think you're right, Colin, and I think we're going to see more people doing it. But the question is, how do you get the initial attention for it? You know, like, and
You
make
go
sure
to
it
the
spreads
internet.
enough. You go to the internet, exactly. Or like, how do you protect it from, if it gets big enough, you know, kind of wanting to capitalize on what could be there if you just gave in and got on the internet. But like my
Do you-
buddy William Matheny, he's a West Virginia musician, and he does like a hand typed physical mailing list where he mails people a letter with his news. And I just like, I think that's a cool example of like trying to pull back from some of that abstractness and some of that feeling of internet garbage that's related to being a musician, and try to connect with people on a more like visceral level, you know.
it's like, do you like stamps? Sign up for this mailing list, but mail a letter to me telling me that you want to sign up, because you can't sign up through the internet. It's gonna be tough.
Exactly. Yeah.
Would
Yeah.
Mr. Husband do well on TikTok, do you think, Kenny? I know you probably don't have the stomach for it, but I mean, I feel like that's
I
maybe
think
what
you
people.
guys would. Yeah, I feel like you guys would do great. The way, the sort of the wit that you have, just like a quick 15-second, bam. You're not into
I'm
that?
I'm I'm gonna be real. I've thought about like hiring some kid or like getting AI to try to use like our old content to just make TikToks. So I'm sure that you could pull some reels out of the stuff I've already made. So I have not intended to use TikTok at all. And you're right, I don't really have the stomach for it. Um, but the reason for that, people are probably also I'm just like gonna let it rip, and everybody can hate me if they want to. But
Mhm.
I think TikTok is pretty toxic culturally, and I just feel like it's too much of a compromise to be like, yeah, for my band, I'm just gonna contribute to this thing I completely hate deep down in my guts on every level, you know.
Yeah.
So
I
I, for
love
some
you
reason,
so
don't feel
much.
that bad about. Yeah, I don't feel that way about Instagram, but I probably should. I don't know why. I guess it's like
It's
Stockholm syndrome, but
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing, just owned by a quote unquote American company. So I mean, I get it, but it is frustrating where it's like I do know that selling of your morals to see if your band will get like a couple hundred more plays a month is also a doctrine that I don't subscribe to. So I guess if we're all going to start a cult, we can all start the, is it worth it cult, and we can just not do things that are just minuscule results for like short-term gain, because the TikTok's not going to be around forever. Now it may be around for a lot longer than anything anybody ever thought, but like the views and things that people might get and that endorphin rush you'll feel of when people are getting eyes on your band. Hey, that's really cool. And I'm not knocking that, but like, I don't know if I don't know if that does it for me anymore as a 32-year-old.
Totally, Chris. And if you were like to say like, okay, well, what could be a successful strategy for your band or my band to get like a viral video or reel or something, right? And then I do the full math in my head. I'm like, well, let's say we fully accomplish that. Like we calculate what kind of reel is going to get viral and it actually goes viral. I'm like, does that translate back into any form of relationship that I actually want to have with an audience, or does it actually like ruin the potential for that? It's kind of like being a one-hit wonder with a crappy single and then like expecting the audience to stick around while you do a jazz album. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, this doesn't
just
track
described Third Eye Blind.
I thought you were gonna say
exactly.
It just describes that thing you do, and I was like, I was gonna make a whole bit about, well, we should do like a one song, guys, and we could be called like the Wonders.
Yo, Neaters. Yeah,
Neaters. I love that movie, dude. I can watch that.
It's the best.
Super Bowl, I think.
I would take that. I would take that movie over Almost Famous.
Never seen Almost Famous.
That's a good. Shame. That's a good one.
In terms of like music movies, yeah. Anyway,
what's your favorite music movie, Chris?
Oof.
If it's not Spinal Tap, it's over.
My favorite music movie. Oh gosh. School of Rock, duh. Hands down.
No, that's not bad. That's not bad.
No, that's bad. That's pretty bad.
No, guys, there's this beautiful thing called the universe that just does really weird things to you when you like kind of like wish for something. And like in 2011, we went out, the band I was in at the time went out on tour, and I was like, guys, all I care about is watching School at Rock one night, and I just hope that somebody's house we go to, it'll be there. And then like 6 days into this tour, we go to somebody's house in Nashville, and I go and I just push play on people's DVD players because I don't know boundaries, and I was homeschooled, and that stuff was weird. And I just pressed play on the DVD player, and it was School of Rock, and I was like, guys, I don't know about you, but like, God is in this Chili's tonight, and it was insane.
Oh man, have you guys ever seen Electric Apricot?
Oh my God. That's up there. That's one of those that nobody has seen that everybody really has to see.
Exactly. It's like an unsung, like Pretty Perfect thing.
Oh my
God.
Well, it's from Les Claypool. Anything from Les Claypool is going to be genius.
Yeah, like when they're setting up the drums on the sidewalk, and he's like, the sidewalk's like not really like conducive to what I do. That's my favorite line ever. I love to say that. But sorry, I'm hijacking the interview.
No. I think it's tough because it's
talk
like
about that all day. But we know you have to go here. Ish. What's that?
No,
Ish. No rush. I'm good.
Yeah, but I just did the quick like Google search because I'm insane of like, because it's music movie, that's such a tough thing. But like, I mean, Walk the Line is on there, guys. 8 Mile, Yesterday, Tick Tick Boom. There's so many good movies.
Really, Yesterday. You're gonna flip and say Yesterday.
I hated that movie so much. Oh my god!
Come on, man.
I'm a new Beatles fan, so like I didn't like start to really appreciate them until I sat through 8 hours of watching Get Back, and then I was like, whoa, that was a lot of fun. So maybe it's just because it's new to me, but like, I mean, I don't know. Whiplash, that was also really good. Whatever. All right, I'm done.
Oh, that is a killer movie. Yeah, I like Whiplash a lot.
I just listened to a podcast talking about that movie, and it reminded me of all the insults that J.K. Simmons lobs, and you cannot make that movie today. I don't think you can say those things anymore.
Well,
I forget what they are.
It was a timepiece. I mean, it was like, or a time capsule. I don't think it was like I mean, it was modern-ish day, but it's like, I don't know. It's a movie, man.
I don't know.
It was also supposed to totally provoke you to the point where you thought he was being inappropriate. My takeaway from the movie was like it requires being over the line to get excellence out of people. That was my takeaway from that movie.
That was exactly that was going to be my question to close the loop on movies. It was like, do you think coming away from that, like, does it justify the ends to the means? You can only be great if you do those things. Is that the biggest takeaway?
I definitely think it's unlikely that you'll be great unless you are pushed or pushing yourself. Whether or not you have to be berated and insulted is the jury's out on that one. But yeah, I think pushing past your own feeling of like, okay, here's my limit. This is as good as I can possibly be. Having somebody there to say like, well, maybe just keep trying. You know, that's certainly a way to achieve excellence.
But can you do that if somebody just says, hey, keep trying? Or do you need somebody to say, you asshole son of a you?
Well, Colin, I can only speak to my own personal experience. I think you relate to this. Negative self-talk goes a long way with me. I don't need somebody else to say that stuff to me, but I'll sit in the studio, and that's worth saying, because I was talking about differences in my process. I used to like be so mean to myself when I was recording. If I made a mistake, the things I would say to myself, I would never say to anybody else, like, or the feelings I would have of like, why didn't you do that perfect, man? And now, because I have a toddler, I talk to myself like a toddler in the studio, and I'm like, it's okay, man, you did a really good take that time. You just biffed that one note, and try to keep my spirit high while I'm recording. So I'm working on like not using negative self-talk or self-loathing as a motivator. We'll see if it makes a good record,
I love that. And what I also love, and where you can also get some positive self-talk and worth and growth and encouragement and coaching and lessons, is from a special word from our sponsor, the Frederick Let There Be Rock School. So you say you want to be a rock and roll star? It's easy. Well, kind of. Just visit the Frederick Let There Be Rock School in Frederick, Maryland to get your superstar dreams off the ground with your first lesson free if you tell them Could Be Better sent you. That's right. Free. FREDERICK. In addition to offering lessons on everything from voice to guitar, Let There Be Rock School in Frederick also provides students with opportunities to perform live and on a stage in front of a crowd as part of the school's showcase of events, including at Old Mother Brewing Company. To learn more about the school and all the things that they have to offer, visit www.frederickrockschool.com. And again, if you tell them Could Be Better sent you, you'll get your first lesson free. FREE, superstardom, or at least getting better at playing Take Me Up by Franz Ferdinand is right around the corner. All right, so this is our, well, welcome back, people. We're trying some new formats. We're trying to drop in some ads, trying to make editing a little bit more fun, conducive, easier, and not a total pain in the butt. We are here with the specialties, no music segment. So that's right, specialties, the place to get all of your printing desires done. Special-tees.com. You get 10% off your first order when you tell them that Could Be Better sent you. So Kenny, this is our no music segment, and we kind of did a little bit of it, and I was worried that this wasn't going to be fun because we talked about movies, but it was all kind of music related. But what's a non-music related thing that you do that people would definitely not care about if you started talking to them about, like, are you a big like landscaping guy? Are you a big like, oh, I like growing radishes on my window sill kind of guy? What's something that's no music for you?
Ooh, that's interesting, man. Because I do live in a pretty narrow lane of music, but I do really like working with my hands in general. So I'm that cliche guy in his 40s who likes woodworking, if that fits the criteria.
Now, woodworking, like, do you build things for people as gifts, or like, is it just like you whittle to kind of quiet the mind?
Boy, I'm not a great whittler. During the pandemic, I tried to whittle a chess set, and I mean, it looks like a 2-year-old did it. But pretty good at making furniture that's functional, not beautiful. So a lot of things around my house, we have a downtown house where it's like the space is funny. So you'll be like, only one thing would be perfect here, and it's really hard to find something shaped like that, so I'll just build it, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a hard, I don't know, it is a weird thing to try to feel like you have time to put into another craft that's not music, but then it's also you're a family, you're a contributing member to, the local community, all the things in your own community. It's hard to also feel like, cool, let me go do something else that's not that. That feels exhausting.
Yeah, actually, that's not the case for me. I think I know what you mean, but for me, it's like most of my time is spent in an abstract space, like working on a computer, communicating with people. So there's something really relieving to me to work with physical things, so that when you're done, you just step back and you're like, okay, there it is. That's how I spent my time. That's the thing. And so it's actually kind of a relief for me from that like existential dread of always just working on the computer.
I wish I knew what that was like. I think not a total everything on my life is digital, but it's pretty close. Um, and now I'm gonna go sit in a corner and think really deeply about this. Because for folks that are looks like Colin's coming back online here, but we'll see if he has a no music question for you, and then we'll wrap this up. So Kenny, while Colin joins back on, um, do you have a song that you'd like to play us out?
A Mr. Husband song?
It could be that. It could be.
Or any?
I was kind of thinking maybe a Tucker Riggleman song. I was thinking maybe even because I know he's got a couple of new ones coming off that new record. But do you have any requests for us to end the episode with?
Could be a heavy light
Yeah, that's a
song.
great idea. Let's play the new Tucker Riggleman single. Sorry, I think it's called Shotgun. I'm just going to verify that for you real quick.
I think it is
Um,
because I listened to it when you sent me the hey, let's do this. Um, yeah, so it's off of the new record called Restless Spirit, which comes out, oh gosh, on or around February 17th. I guess it's maybe just the vinyl, which is pretty cool, but the record itself comes out at some point. But yeah, there's Shotgun, track 4. Very excited.
yeah, that's a good tune.
Oh, and it comes out February 17th. So it comes out this week. So you're going to hear a song if you like it. It comes out in 2 days. It comes out on a Saturday. Tucker, what are you doing? That's cool.
It's a Wild West industry out there.
You remember when music would come out on Tuesdays and you got to like enjoy it throughout your week and then talk about it? And now they screwed up everything and they put it out on Fridays, and now it's like it just gets lost.
Yeah, there is something about Friday energy that's not right for like, hey, check out my new album. You really feel it when you put it out. You're kind of like, sorry, I know you're busy, but it's the music.
I don't want to like apologize for this thing that I should be excited to, but I 100% agree. It's, hey, I know you're about to like, you had a really hard week and I did too, but like, hey, listen to this thing that maybe you won't enjoy. That does feel,
Right. Yeah.
like a tough ask. Colin, did you have a no music question for our guest? He told us he likes to woodwork and he's taking orders for chess sets at mrhusband.org.
Oh,
Hell yeah.
wow. Wow. How about cooking? Do you like to cook?
I do. And we have a really excellent cook in the band.
Oh,
Chris Morris,
Chris,
drummer.
I forgot.
He is,
Yeah.
he is a gourmet. I mean, if anytime I'm cooking something, if I just touch base with him, I find ways to improve it. But yeah, I do like to cook. And I was vegetarian for 18 years. And then right before the pandemic hit, I just intuitively decided to start eating some meat again. And so I'm like a little baby in terms of learning how to cook just basic meat dishes. So even like just making chicken or something is a challenge for me, and then like learning how to make it a little bit better. But today for the Taylor Swift's boyfriend going to the Usher concert event, I'm making like buffalo chicken dip and a tofu version for my wife. So I'll be at the helm of the buffalo chicken dip here right after the podcast.
Wow.
Wait,
That sounds
so a divided household with carnivores and non-carnivores, yeah?
Yeah, it's been interesting. I mean, she was vegetarian the whole 18 years that I was, and when I stopped, she didn't stop. But yeah, so we had to figure out like has our relationship just been about vegetarianism for the last 18 years? No, I'm just kidding. But it certainly it was easier when we were both vegetarian. But we're working it out. It's fine.
I'll tell you what Chris is cooking up. He's cooking up some drums. I'll tell you that.
I'm cooking up
Oh, yeah.
some
I meant Chris Morris, not you.
That's been like the best part and the worst part, because you said something about like, oh, I know Kenny's like sending stuff over to Chris. I'm like, you know what? That would be kind of cool. I would like some stuff from Kenny. And then Kenny, as the media professional that he is goes, well, yes, Chris Morris, who I collaborate with for Mr. Husband. It's like, damn it, had my chance.
Yeah, whenever I swap recipes with Chris Morris, like I tried to make these things called Hasselback potatoes, which is where you like slice the potatoes as thin as you possibly can. It looks like a little loaf of bread. His is like perfect, like beautiful, and mine is like the fail meme version of it. But yeah, I have some cooking ambitions, so I like that question.
Well, that's good. I can feel my computer beginning to shut down, so I'm going to bid adieu. If I get out, Chris, you tell everybody goodbye.
No, we're wrapping up right now. So again, so Kenny, and I know it's Mr. Husband to everybody else but us. I appreciate your time. So grateful that you're here. So excited for your show on April 13th with Tucker Riggleman and the Cheap Dates and Distant Humming. It's gonna be awesome. It starts at 6:30. It's free. We don't make you pay for anything that you don't want to at Old Mother Brewing Company. And this has been a delight. And Kenny, before we play Shotgun off of the fan-freaking-tastic new record from Tucker, anything else you'd like to say to the people?
Come to the show, say hi if you see me on the street, and support Good Be Better. And I want to say to you guys, Chris and Colin, thank you for the time and the energy you put into, giving this whole substantial support to the scene. It means a lot to me, and I know it means a lot to other people. So hopefully you hear that from time to time.
We sometimes do. So I really appreciate I appreciate that a ton, Kenny. And
it's overshadowed by how much we hate each other.
Yeah, hate goes so far, it then turns into love, and it's just the best. So, all right, folks, mark your calendars, do all the things. Kenny, we appreciate you. And this is Shotgun from Tucker Riggleman and the Cheap Dates.
Shotgun in my head, pain right behind my eyes. Didn't mean to kill me dead. With the moon, I'll rise. There's a dancer in my heart. Her legs have been torn apart. She was always my sweetest friend. I just know she's gonna dance again. And I can still hear you calling. Nothing's gonna bring me down. The stars in our eyes are falling. Out of the morning I'll be back around. And I can still hear you calling. Nothing's gonna bring me down. The stars in our eyes are falling. I let the music bring me back around. And there's a raven in my eyes. She's always been the one. When I'm weak, she's my big surprise.
The Could Be Better podcast is recorded somewhere with suspect Wi-Fi in the United States of America.
We've been without a studio for several decades, but have finally moved to the real estate where the talks tick and the West's yay.
What?
Actually, we're live now, but you're listening later. So please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, and Blue Sky. And don't forget to check out our website for literally everything else at www.couldbebettermeh.com.
Also, pretty please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Overcast, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Or don't, and then let us continue believing what we're doing has purpose and meaning, and you like us. And
plus, don't forget to check out all of our other podcasts exclusively within the Could Be Better Podcast Network, which includes just us for right now, as the other pods be sleeping.
Hey, shout to Kiki, shout to Stitch, shout to my magnum opus-ish. And hell, if all else fails, check out Smartless, because we were friends with Jason, Will, and Sean.
Wait, we know those guys?
Of course. Welcome to Arrested Development. I'm Colin McGuire.
And I'm Chris Perry. Thanks for listening, and don't forget, this always could be better.